All right, guys, we were sent a video today, and I've been asked to review it since I'm an expert on all things bank. Let's see what Tim Pool has to say about banks.
Here's a story from Zero Hedge. 64 U.S. bank branches filed to shut down in a single week. Are you affected? Listen, it may not be my bank that shut down. I'm not saying, maybe your bank shut down, but regardless of whether it was your personal branch, y'all affected.
Yeah.
Bank branches are shutting down. And so the question is, why is it happening? Well, obviously, the economy is pretty bonkers right now. It doesn't make sense at all. You've got people who can't afford to eat, and you've got casinos popping up all over the place. I swear, the casino thing really makes me think we're in like the end of days. Chicago just approved recently a $1.6 billion Bally's casino on the river in the city.
Goodness.
And they just opened the first Chicago casino, Bally's temporary location. And I'm like, when they start legalizing gambling across the board and casinos are popping up, what does a casino do? You just give money away. I mean, you could win money, but come on. You're paying for entertainment. The simplest form of a casino is you go there, you lose money, you have fun, you have drinks, you leave.
Okay, guys. So, just got to jump in real quick right here. Historically, I don't know, maybe he's about to address this. When empires start greenlighting casinos left and right, it's usually a time in the empire's history that they're about to start crumbling. I hate to say it, but the fall of Rome and all these, when they start doing their bread and circus and, running out crazy things where people need a long shot chance at trying to have a life for all the poor people who are broke, and then the rich people have such disposable income that they can waste it just straight up gambling, it's usually the sign that the end times are coming for an empire. I don't know, maybe he'll say that. I just wanted to jump in with a quick historic fact.
People with disposable income. At the same time, there are way too many people with no income at all that can't afford to live and can't afford to get houses. They can't afford to buy groceries. It can't maintain itself. So they're saying one of the reasons the banks are closing down is that everyone's just doing digital right now, so they don't need them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, that's not it. Like, probably. But if the economy was doing well and the banks were doing well, they would keep their locations open for marketing purposes and just to have an available location for people who are just happening to be in the area. Mm-hmm. I get it. It is a fair point.
Okay, so I'll forgive Tim for not knowing this. He's not a bank expert. He's a media guy. That's fine. But I, as a bank expert, will happily tell you, you don't keep bank branches open for marketing purposes. Sure, people might see them and come in and do something, but that's not the point of bank branches. Bank branches you have open because they're cheap deposits. You see, if you have to go out into the market and broker deposits and stuff, you're paying a premium over the market. But it's much, much cheaper to just open a bank branch, have people flood in with their money, and you get to pay them almost nothing on your deposit, and then you get to make a little spread. Even if you just keep it in short-term treasuries or overnight repo markets, no matter what you want to do, it's much cheaper to have a bank branch opening. So when you close a bank branch, that doesn't mean you're trying to cut down on your expenses. It means you either, one, have nowhere good to put the capital, which in this current system, you can just buy treasuries yielding, 4 or 5%, and that's not a problem. So that shouldn't be a problem for them. They don't have to pay that much on the bank branch deposits, which means that they are messing up in some way, or people don't have enough money on deposit at the bank branches to justify their existence, which is really concerning because it doesn't take very much. You can have a bank branch with $20 million in that bank branch, which I know sounds like a lot of money, and for an individual it is, but for a community to have in their bank, it's absolutely nothing. That is an ultra micro bank branch right there. But even that is more than enough to maintain several employees, even if they're mostly keeping their money just in treasuries. Now, if you have a good branch where you have a bunch of loans being made, real estate, people are out buying houses, doing business activities, you make a lot more income off of that. And that will make sure a bank branch of even a few $1 million would be more than capable of paying for its ongoing cost and return a profit. The fact that they're closing these tells you they're hurting. Something's wrong. Now, it could be several different things, but many of it's because banks are failing, and then their assets are getting scooped up by the really big banks, the JP Morgan Chase and the like. And once they scoop them up, they're closing down a bunch of things that are fundamentally structurally unprofitable. Now, this can be due to a bad loan book, but more often than not these days, it's due to deposits leaving. People are broke. Communities are going bust. They're becoming ghost towns. and so you have to close down the bank branch. If there's nobody to use the bank, it doesn't matter. The bank gets to if nobody's there to use the bank, it doesn't matter if you have a wonderful bank or not. You got to close it down. No money means nothing to make money with. All
Well,
right,
I keep
let's
a
get
bank
back to
branch open if everyone's online anyway. But if you had the
45.
money, you would. There's not a lot going into opening a bank branch. I guess they can fire a lot of people. I guess in the long run, they save a lot of money. I think the real issue is we have seen, 6 banks, entire banks shut down this year.
Yeah, it's been really a lot of banks. It's been scary.
And now we're seeing bank branches shutting down. I'm not going to sit back while the people in the media are like, this is totally normal and everyone's fine. The stock market will be great and just keep doing your thing. I'm like, nah. Me personally, I don't know. I'll buy some Bitcoin or something. Maybe get some property in Argentina. We were looking at property in Argentina.
Oh, and the Pampas, it's beautiful there.
Well, no, all I know is you can get there. We found like 500 acres.
Well, I agree. Bitcoin's great. I own a little, full disclosure. Bank branches do shut down. There's usually a bank branch or two that shuts down every year. It's not terribly uncommon. The problem isn't that bank branches are shutting down. It's that banks are going bust. We had more dollars default last year in terms of bank size than we did in 2008. Between Silicon Valley, Signature, and a few of the others, we had a 2008 level event. Now, it was a lot less banks that were affected, but part of that was because the U.S. Federal Reserve came in and bailed them out with a special lending program. One that's due to expire very soon, I might add. And a lot of banks went bust because they had U.S. government treasuries on their books. And as interest rates rose, the value of these things fell lower and lower and lower. And eventually, these banks were becoming insolvent. That's what partially led to a large number of these banks going bust. The U.S. government making banks go bust. Who could have guessed? Don't worry, they'll bail you out if you didn't get bought up by J.P. Morgan real quick. Now, while he may say you should go out and buy Bitcoin, I admit, Bitcoin is a good store of value. I like it. I hold it, like I said. But you need to be more active than that. The average person holding Bitcoin is not enough. Because if you're just holding Bitcoin, you're basically preserving that moment's purchasing power. And while that's great, I highly recommend people do it. You don't get to grow your wealth by just holding your purchasing power. You need to increase it. Do something active. Now, what I like to do, and this is totally not financial advice, but I like to take my Bitcoin, my wrapped Bitcoin specifically that I have on the Ethereum blockchain, and I like to go to the discount DAO. I'll use it to borrow DM, the stable coin there, and now I'm effectively short the dollar. So while they keep printing money to bail out these banks, and all the banks keep going bust because they're doing terrible business practices, and the dollar has become worth less and less, and they need to take on more risk in order to try and maintain their purchasing power, which is just a terrible treadmill to run on, I'm short the dollar. So every time they print it, I own less real buying power back to DM. It's a good deal for me, and I'm preserving my real purchasing power by holding the Bitcoin that's locked up safely in my vault with the discount DAO. It's a really good system. I highly recommend it. Not financial advice, of course.
That was only accessible by raft, and it's like $4,000. And I'm like,
that seems pretty great. I was in Argentina.
Yeah, good luck getting there, but
Can you get Starlink?
yes,
There
of
you
course.
I was there for a theater conference in 2003, and it was like this like compound in the Pampas. It was really exceptional and off the grid and pretty wacky. I recommend Argentina.
All right, guys, whoa. I just want to jump in. This needs to be addressed. Look, if one of the things you're doing to try and save your purchasing power is purchasing property in Argentina, your house is on fire. That is not something you do when your system is working. You do not run off to a country that is known for its instability going, I'll purchase some jungle land right there for a few grand, and, hopefully I'll still have something at the end. They are well known for seizing property from individuals, from businesses. They are incredibly unstable. They have been devaluing their currency like crazy. It is a nightmare there. They've shown promise several times throughout history, but man, they keep coming back down. Now, don't get me wrong. I love their new president. He's got an energy about him that really says, I'm going to fix things. I think it's the chainsaw. It really speaks to me. And I think he's doing a great job, and I'm very optimistic relative to how I have been for basically my entire life on Argentina. But that said, you should not be looking to a foreign country going, maybe I'll buy some land out in the forest somewhere, and, maybe I could boat to it or something. That is not how you preserve your wealth. Oh, my gosh. This is horrifying to me. Look, he's right. He's not wrong. You have to preserve your wealth somehow, because keeping it in dollars or even bank CDs or something like that. Look, I own banks. I sell CDs. I feel bad ripping off my customers because I know, look, if you're putting money in a CD, you're losing money. You may get a percentage gain, but inflation is eating away more than whatever percentage gain my bank is offering. It is ripping your buying power to shreds. But buying property in Argentina is not the answer, okay? He was a little bit more on track with the Bitcoin, and there's several other cryptocurrencies. I'm not here to be a Bitcoin maxi, even though I do think it is good. Again, I do hold some. I do not hold property in Argentina. I do hold quite a bit of property, but none of it is in Argentina. Nor do I intend to, unless I can find something nice. Who knows? Maybe they'll get better to do business with. But please, guys, please, take caution in protecting your money you work so hard for. You barely get paid anything after all your labor you put in. Don't waste it on something like property in Argentina. Hopefully he was joking or something, but guys, be responsible. Get something that is real money, something hard value money, something like Bitcoin. Or you can get things like Ethereum, other good stores of value, things that have utility, something that is more than just paper that is getting printed ad infinitum. By the time you have finished watching this video, millions of dollars have came into existence that didn't exist when you hit play. That is horrifying to me. Do you know how many Bitcoin were added to the total amount of Bitcoin that will ever be in circulation? 0. That is hard money. DD is hard money. A lot of crypto has hard money. Don't get me wrong. You got to be careful. You got to do your homework. But I certainly would rather take a random crypto as opposed to the U.S. government, because the U.S. government has been stealing from me every second of my life. How about I do something a little bit better? How about we all do something just a little bit better? Get some real money and short these dollars. We know which direction they're headed. They print them to save their bank buddies every single day. Shame my bank's not big enough for them to print me any bucks. Anyway, that's all I'm going to go with here. Please, don't buy property in Argentina. Don't buy property in most countries. Governments are very unstable. Governments are not your friend.